Let's see how that last video went. Uh-oh. How embarrassing. How you doing, bud? Welcome to ThaMalware. I'm Matt. Good to see you again. And I'm here to talk about, an interesting Flashcast that happened this week. And it became a little chaotic because, we have our drama between Eric July and Dick Masterson and Vito, for that matter, Vito Gesualdi. And so let's dive into some of the conversation, shall we?
Where I was going with my review of your comic is the idea to me that it wasn't like some people say it wasn't a perfect book. I had
Which Nina didn't review until Dick Masterson basically forced her into it. She made him and he made her because she didn't actually review it. She didn't actually read the damn thing for the longest time. Gosh, she rambles on a lot.
that all you've ever
Sorry.
said
I don't want to be that guy, but there's a reason why she's not on Real BBC anymore.
is Marvel and DC are fucking up characters that I love. They're constantly race swapping and fucking doing all this stupid.
More fun. It's a better show, by the way, because of it.
And you're only making this much because you've got a big following. Woo!
Well, I think that's not true either, right? You don't make $3.7 million just for good following. No, this obviously went around to a lot of people. Eric's known pretty well because he's on the Blaze. He's had a big YouTube channel for a long time, right? And again, I'm new to his fandom by probably a year. Before I knew him before the Rippaverse came out, but basically that's when it started. Was when he was definitely like talking about the Rippaverse starting. Roughly when I started listening to him.
I think what ends up happening is that often people, definitely that folks that are in our corner of the internet that people like to think of as respectable people, for whatever reason, is this constant benefit of the doubt when they do retarded shit.
I think that's very interesting. I think he needs to look in the mirror on that comment a little bit.
And if someone shows you exactly who it is that they are, I get it. There's a lot of showmanship with how we are on YouTube, but some people just are fucking.
I want to remember that section. If someone shows you who they really are, I think we'll get to that with the Dick Masterson section that's going to come up here. Once we get to the Dick's part, we're gonna EFAP this. All right, so enjoy when we get there. Let's see if I can get to Ethan talking about some criticism here.
Trying to make this a better thing.
See, this is
why
I don't. Okay, this is the whole thing, the good faith versus bad faith thing. I talked about this on my Twitter. It goes both ways. It doesn't matter if someone's approaching you because they like you or they hate you. What really matters?
I disagree with that. 100%.
I do. I know. I'm Eric. If somebody is approaching you because they really like you, they might be afraid not to give you actual pointed, valuable.
That's exactly it.
Yeah, but
they don't want to fight with you.
Right. But that means why that even speaks to why it's so important, or why it's so important to acknowledge any event that someone's entering into it with hatred, because those aren't.
Well, so if someone's coming in with hatred and they have valid criticism, why are you going to ignore that? I think that's exactly what Ethan this whole is like the GOAT of this stream, by the way. He's been in the comic book industry for a friggin' millennia, it feels like.
You should know better than anything, definitely as a writer, that someone's emotion is not going to, it's very difficult.
Throughout all of this, Ethan is trying to get Eric to separate the critic from the person, the critique from the person, right? And that's totally valid. That's totally valid. When someone hates you, as Ethan will say, they want to make you look stupid, so they're going to try to do the smartest critique they can, right? If they actually hate you, or if they're doing it for a joke, like Dick Masterson.
For a rational person to separate that, if you go into it with "I despise you," right? I despise you. I don't like you. I don't like what it is you stand for.
I think the bias goes the other way too, and a lot of these people on this panel included, Flash especially, Nina especially, Raging Rhino and Riot Press or PTP. I don't really know them that much. I've seen Raging Rhino on Flashcast the last couple weeks, but
you're going to make a critical error.
Their notes are going to be are not going to be pointed. To me, most of the notes in that were things that I'm working on as a writer too, which is clarity. It doesn't matter what
clarity. That's something that pretty much every writer, every artist, everyone who's making a story could work on. You never reach the mountaintop of clarity. You never do. You always can get better at it, because there's going to be, well, for one, there's going to be people, idiots like me, who read a story and then maybe miss a paragraph, or they're not thinking through that paragraph entirely, or they're not reading that page entirely, so they're going to miss something. It's keeping that engagement and clarity. That's like the biggest thing for storytelling.
What you know, it matters what the reader is able to discern easily about the story, so that they can enjoy the story and not have a buildup of questions and
That's where the bad faith comes in, and that if someone's acting in bad faith trying to nitpick, of course they're going to find.
Now this nitpicking thing pisses me off.
Nitpicking is not criticism.
Nitpicking is not criticism, except it literally is.
It is. That's exactly what it is. It can't be anything else.
The way you have to nitpicking is something that isn't criticism.
To translate this to, I assume someone like him, it's just you'd start real small and be like, hey man, it's the one I did in fucking TFA, be like, the lights are flickering when they probably shouldn't be. Let's just say a light's fucking faulty on set. Then you'd be like, that'll be a nitpick, right? And he's like, yeah. And you'd be like, and you mean a thing that shouldn't be mentioned because it doesn't mean anything, right? He'd probably be like, yeah, sure. He'd be like, why can't I mention it? Why can't it be indicative of a grander problem? What if the movie is filled with sets that have broken things in it, or like, you know, outfits that are all fucked up, or inaccuracies, and it's just indicative of how much they didn't care when making it? And you have quotes from the actual creators behind the scenes saying, yeah, man, all the fucking bulbs weren't working, and we just didn't give a shit. Ultimately, we just want to get the lines done and get out of here. And if he was just like, well, he was still... I hate the whole nitpicking conversation. It's, if you mean stuff being said that doesn't mean shit, just say that. Nitpicking should be saved for just small criticisms that are valid.
As I talked in the last video, you know, when Game of Thrones had a Starbucks cup in their scene, it's a nitpick to say that Starbucks cup is in that scene. Does it ruin the scene? No. When you are focused, when you're trying to belittle valid criticism by calling it nitpicking, you are hurting yourself. You're hurting your own work.
Find things that are blatantly obvious and get them wrong.
Having garbage audio on a previous YouTube video when you're supposed to be an audio engineer, that's not a nitpick. See, that's not a nitpick. That's valid criticism. Doy. Like, God, why don't I check my work next time? Jeez.
Like it is the guy that you were talking about that had an X, and which again, I disagree. I don't even know how you came to that conclusion, Ethan. That was a terrible line of criticism. I'm not saying that because it was against me. I'm saying because objectively speaking, not the subjective aspects or the subjective elements, objectively speaking, they were wrongful. Like you can't say something happened that did not, that made it obvious. For example, this guy, it was another one that was absolutely terrible. He said that what Isom should have did when he went into that club and before that second fight,
he's trying not to say Dick's name at all.
Isom should have went in there.
You know, this goes both ways. The bad faith argument goes in both ways. And I understand because I'm where you are and I have people nipping at my heels all day long. And even still, I'll examine somebody like Vickyverse, who made a video criticizing Cyberfrog Wreck Planet, the first 20 pages. And you know what? She had 3 good points. And I'm glad I listened to it because I fixed it for clarity. I went, fuck it. I hate this girl. She hates me. But she's right these 3 times, and I gotta listen.
Can be right twice a day.
Okay, what is this? What is this? Ethan is showing, hey, the criticism is great. Those 3 points in the 20 pages, the first 20 pages of Cyberfrog, whichever one, I'm not sure which one.
Well, no,
it makes look. Ethan throughout all this makes me want to get Cyberfrog now. just say it.
True, that's true.
And I don't like comics really, so
true. But see, the thing about it is that you know, people will either see bad faith goes both ways. You either have people who love you so much that they don't want to tell you something you don't want to hear, okay, and that is bad faith, or you have people that hate you so much, you know, that similarly they're going to tell you something that also you actually don't want to hear. So to me, you know, it's like the bad faith argument doesn't mean anything. Good faith doesn't mean anything either. The point is is the criticism valid? Is there anything there that you can glean from it?
Anything you can learn from.
Become better at your chosen art form, which is storytelling.
This is like, and there's all this argument is coming from Eric's first book. And he's closing up. He's closing in. Not literally, obviously. You can see him kind of sitting there normally. Every negative criticism, he closes off. Calls these guys crack-smoking idiots. I don't know. It's ridiculous.
And we got to get people telling stories here, because that's primarily mostly what's important. We can't win the culture war without great stories, and we
exactly. You need the story too. The art, from all I've seen of ISOM, looks great. The art is awesome. It's the story that's going to keep people there. Mass Effect looks great. It's not just the look of Mass Effect that kept people around. It was the story.
We need to listen. We need to listen to each other.
We shouldn't listen to dickheads. No, we shouldn't listen to dickheads.
Dickheads. I like that. That's if you're a Dick Masterson fan, that's our name. We're dickheads. That's, you know,
like people that act like hoes. I'm gonna be
completely
honest with you, and this is why.
Look, we know ISOM is a superhero of some kind, right? Maybe not a hero, a super powered person, right? But what does he do? Where is the hook?
In my pocket, Chuck Dixon. There's another guy who looks like Buster Baxter, right? Who's talking noise
Buster Baxter,
for whatever reason, in his ulterior motives. The thing about this is that I have someone that can give me something that is constructive, right? And that is
paying him. He might be afraid to tell you anything that you don't want to hear.
You're paying him.
No. Well, we know that
you can have an editor, but you're paying him. So having someone who hates you go fine-tooth comb through everything, man, that's even more valid, because you can see where the lines cross, where you can tell it's obviously bad. As Eric has said, it's like, oh wow, you didn't get this right at all. This is clearly in the story. If it's clearly in the story, obviously ignore that criticism, because it's clear in the story, right? But if there's other things that are not clear, if there's weird actions happening that no one can understand, maybe that's valid.
That's false. We know that that's false because there's already been things that have been corrected.
You know, Dick actually said this. He actually said, I know you don't like this guy, but he said it would have been better.
No, it's not about. It ain't that I don't like him. It ain't that I don't like him. I just don't know enough about him to give a shit. That's it.
Right. Okay. So, what would happen if it was more urgent because it was somebody who was directly related to him? His sister was taken, and then he goes and he meets his niece, and his niece and mother are killed in the middle of the issue by he meets the guy who owns the club, and the club guy's like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Get the fuck out of here. And then the next thing you know, a bomb goes off, killing his mother and niece. I mean, that would be insane. And then now he's driven. Now he's got to find out, because even though he doesn't know, see, this is storytelling stuff that you know people are trying to impart to me. This is my second book that I've written. I'm writing a third book. It's all about Literature Devil, thank you. Rising action is what Literature Devil's teaching me about. And I'm so grateful to him, because he's somebody who knows how to write. And, you know, if you want somebody who's going to be constructive and doesn't, you should work with Literature Devil too. But he's just like, it has to get more and more intense until this guy has no choice but to get involved.
Right. That's common in every form of writing. Every, you know, screenplay, there's a kick out the door. There's a reason why you're doing look, Star Wars. Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru die. Luke has nothing to stay for now. He gets to go on his adventure because they die. Right? It's the ramp up to the events. You gotta build to the events, right? That's exactly what Ethan's saying. And it feels like a lot of the criticism coming through is there's no ramp up. There's no plot to drive what ISOM's doing.
And the reader knows that, and the reader's like, "Holy shit, we just met the little girl. She was so sweet. Now she's been blown up by this asshole."
And that's the part that I actually disagree with, as far as the critical aspect, because I think that all too often, and I think this is where so many people on our side, for example, are trying to write these stories where so much is on the line early on.
I know where he's going to go with this. I think I'm going to skip on after this, but he's essentially going to go on to say that a lot of Marvel, like if you make a superhero with a ridiculous amount of powers, like a Superman, you can't have a small scale thing. Not really. Like, I mean, back in the day, back in early Superman, the 40s or whatever, he would just land, punch a bad guy, and say, "Hey, save the day. What's up? You, don't smoke, kid," or whatever. Not in the 40s, but you know, you can scale your superheroes. It's obviously like world disasters or smaller things. He obviously wants to do a smaller thing. He still needs a drive for ISOM. There doesn't seem to be any drive. That's the point. Liam Neeson in Taken, whatever his actual character's name is, he has a drive and a motivation to go save his daughter, because that's the scale that he needs. He needs to go save his daughter. Give ISOM something. He needs to participate because his niece and mother died. That's what Ethan's saying.
If someone comes at it with actual dignity and respect, maybe it's worth hearing them out. If they don't, fuck them.
Dignity and respect.
And I mean that sincerely. Like,
now,
I mean that.
Now, remember all this. Eric's basically way against Dick because of the dignity, respect, that sort of thing. This will come up. This will come up later, and Ethan does really well with it.
So, like, when you make a character point like that, it needs to follow through. Like, he's right. When the little girl says to Isom, you know, I'd like to see you around here. He goes, listen, I can't come to the city. He needs to stay consistent with that. You know, that's like a pretty good storytelling point. I know it seems harmless. It doesn't seem like important, but it's just one of those things. I think
there's a miss again.
He's already like, look, it is small, but it's keeping consistent with the character, and that's, look, we all want that. Again, Star Wars example. What the hell is Luke Skywalker in Last Jedi? He is not the Luke Skywalker we know. Correct? Eric needs to change his thought process a little bit. He hasn't, from his own admission, seen a lot of media nowadays. He needs to change his perspective just a little bit.
All right. I can talk about it. He's here. Welcome to the stream, Dick Masterson.
Hello. What's up, guys? Thanks for having me on. Eric, what are you doing, man? Why are you this sensitive to simple criticism? Like, even coming from Ethan, who's like an industry veteran, dude. It comes off as so childish and insecure. You know that, right?
I disagree.
This is how he starts right out, which
I think again, traumatizing what's happening, but
it's obviously very standoffish to start with, for sure. But
I'm cool with that.
Well, read chat, buddy. Read chat, because they know. Chat always knows. You're
cool.
coming up for a guy who made $3.7 million fucking dollars. That you can't take like basic story structure critiques that I didn't even invent.
I'm okay with basic story structure critique.
Okay, what's your plot?
As far as what?
Act 1, Act 2, Act 3.
Why on earth would I explain all of that? What do you mean, like going into the future for ISOM 1, 2, and 3?
No, I'm talking about book 1. What's the plot? Like, what's the character's
what
motivation?
Part did you not understand?
There's 120 something pages of ISOM. Number 1. What's the plot?
And what part are you confused?
Every story should have A, B, C, Act 1, 2, 3. Most stories do, especially for 100 pages.
Who's on? I'll answer any questions that you have. Just be direct.
Okay. What are Isom's superpowers? He's a superhero. He puts himself in danger. We need to know what kind of super abilities he has to know if he's risking his life.
Do you see him do anything?
This is another question. It's a question on a question. 2 criticisms coming from Dick. What's your plot? What's his superpowers? Question mark, back to Dick.
Thing super in the book.
Yeah, he gets thrown down into a car and smashed the shit out of the car. So he seems like a superhero.
What about you remember the guy that he fought, Santuan? He fought him twice. Did he do anything super during those interactions?
Yeah, he jumped off a wall and then flipped around in midair and threw him through that same wall. That's pretty super.
So that means that you at least see that he, as far as what his powers are, he's able to do some super things. What you don't know is like the origin of those powers and to what extent. And we'll get to explaining those. Just be patient. It's the first book.
Okay, so he does have superpowers? I mean,
yeah, I think when you fall from as far as he did when he got thrown onto a car
why does
by Yara, as well as when he jumps off a wall and then he jumps into another except.
So Eric's way, his artistic decision to make Isom superpowered is to show in bits and pieces what he has instead of saying what he's got. And by doing that, it's dropping him onto a car and showing that he's not hurt, bouncing around on walls. That's not very specific.
And rams him into a brick wall, and the brick wall breaks. I think it's pretty obvious, and I don't have to hold the person's hand and explain that to them that he probably has powers because of regular.
Why don't you just say yes then? What's up with this like smug attitude? Why that's kind of been my problem this whole time. Like I gave you very basic notes.
I went through the notes and we talked about all of that. You called me a scammer, so yeah, that makes you a hoe ass nigga because you lying about my business. So
yeah,
I do stand by that. I want to be clear now that you
your business is marketing anti-woke shit to morons.
Well, that's and you're free to that opinion. I've never marketed anything as such, but you call my business a scam. This is
I don't know about that. Maybe not anti-woke. There's gonna be some cross on that. It's just no agenda is the thing. I think that's how Eric got to 3.7 million. The no agenda. He leaned into that, and it's good marketing. It was great marketing.
You said you were going to dance on the graves of comic artists.
I called you a whole ass nigga, and now you're hearing me calling you one. And I just want to be clear.
You said you were going to dance on the graves of Marvel and DC comic artists.
No, what I said, no. See, you're getting a saying wrong. At least get it correct if you're going to talk about it. What I'm saying is, I said I'd moonwalk on the dead careers of comic pros is what I
dancing. Moonwalk is dancing on the dead careers of comic pros. So the graves.
That's what I said.
Well, I
heard me say that on your stream as well. You can I said it all the time.
Moonwalking is dancing, but.
Is this more? This is like the assault thing. Like you get hung up on these really simple details. I can't tell if you genuinely don't understand the point, or if you're just trying to.
What point have I not addressed? What else?
You have set yourself up as an alternative to other comics.
Now you're mad. Now you're mad. Just calm down.
I am mad because you're lying. You're lying to your audience, and you're lying to me. You
all right, what have I lied
yourself up.
Yeah, and look, Dick. Great pause face, by the way. Dick goes into this voice, this sort of shouty voice. This is years of shouty voice. He's not actually mad.
Up as an upcoming alternative to mainstream comics.
He turns on a switch in his throat. It's weird.
$40
I don't know.
Would somehow strike a blow to Marvel and DC
comics. I think you're being disingenuous. I'll explain exactly what the point of I'll explain exactly what the point is. Am I a competitor?
No, true or false?
Yes. I have 3 principles with the Riververse.
You're not.
All right, well, that's fine. You're free to that opinion. Nonetheless, I have 3 principles. We have that over there at the Riververse Ethics. And one of those, of course, there are people that have issue. I've griped and moaned about the mainstream, and I've talked about it extensively about my certain issues. And I went through every bit of that in building my actual company. So to those people, yes, they may find that my company and the books that we make and we put out or release, publish, whatever you want to call it, the books that we put out, they might enjoy that. This idea that I'm going to topple, I believe you said that to me in a tweet, something about toppling Hollywood. That's not anything that I've ever presented to do.
Yeah,
I'm
I mean, that's a euphemism
anything.
because Hollywood is all Marvel now. Like Hollywood is comic books right now. So
well,
saying you're
I'm
challenging
in
mainstream
the business of
comics
making
is saying like I'm going to challenge Hollywood. Like I don't
No,
understand why you're taking issue with something that is like a fine.
That's not
it's
really
totally
my
fine
approach.
to say you're challenging Hollywood. I don't know why you're not.
No, that's cool. That's inaccurate though.
This is such a weird argument right now, because Dick's right. He is. All of Hollywood is just Marvel comics right now, Marvel movies. It's all superheroes. That's all they want to make because they see it sells. So I don't understand. Of course, there's gonna be some competition there into Hollywood. Obviously, Eric is seen by some Hollywood people because of his success.
As such, as far as like toppling Hollywood, like I've never even presented myself as if I was going to do that. Now,
Okay,
if
so
they
what are you
feel that
doing
way,
then?
thankfully, but I'm gonna need a lot more than $3.7 million to do that.
Well, you're going to need a good story, and you don't have one.
And that's fine.
And
You're
you don't,
free to,
and you don't
I
even
disagree.
understand
You
what's
can have
wrong
that
with your
position.
story. See, your main character has no motivation. He's doing a wellness check on a girl that's the daughter of a friend of a family that goes to church. And then when he finds that girl, she doesn't even say she's in trouble. Your entire
It's almost
plot
as if there's going to be more. That's not a plot hole. It's almost
No,
as
it's
if there's
no
more
plot.
to it.
It's not a plot hole. It's no plot.
Well,
There is
no, it's
no
plot. It's
reason for
plot.
him to be involved at all. She's not in
Okay.
trouble. She
Okay.
doesn't say she's in trouble.
All right.
There's no indication she's in trouble.
Right,
Your plot
right.
is literally nothing.
Nick has talked about how he's gotten a 5th grade teacher to read it and review. He's gotten his girlfriend, who is also a teacher, to read and review. No influence from him. Just saying, hey, can you read this comic and tell me what you think? And they both say it's trash. There's no story.
Everybody's time. Like
That's fine.
Isom
That's
comes
cool,
in
man.
and says, "Ladies, if you you better leave because if you get involved, I'm going to beat your ass too." That's not a very heroic thing to say.
All right, that's
what the bad guy
that's
in
cool.
fucking
That's cool.
RoboCop said,
That's cool.
dude.
That's
Like I
cool.
know you have no memory, no
That's
working
cool.
memory of other properties. That's why your
cool.
books suck so much.
cool.
But
That's
that's
cool.
what bad
All right, man.
guys say.
Anything
But it's
else
not
you want
even a hero thing, though, Dick. Like
did
that's
you-
one of the things that I don't understand. That you think that he's supposed to be a superhero. I don't think he was represented.
He's supposed to be a
as
protagonist. He might not be a superhero, might not be a good guy, but he's the protagonist.
superhero in the book at all. He was represented as a guy with powers. We don't actually know if he's a super quote unquote hero yet or not.
Right. He still
We
has to be a
know-
protagonist, which means he has to be identifiable. He has to be
Right.
identifiable.
But
We
he
have
was.
to identify with what he's.
Walter White's a protagonist. He's not really a hero in Breaking Bad, right? He's definitely not a good guy because he's the meth dealer who becomes the meth mogul, right? He's not a good guy, but he's the protagonist because we see his motivations and we want to see where he goes with those motivations. You know, when he gets cancer and has to make meth for his family. Compelling story. Where's the compelling story with Isom?
He's doing walking
he
in.
was.
Well,
He
then what
was
did you identify
identifiable.
with, Nina? What was the
I-
cliffhanger
it
is-
to you?
It is a superhero book, though, so I think most people going into this assume the character has powers.
Why is
I mean,
it
just
a
on the
weird
fucking
debate?
cover,
Then?
dude. It's on the cover. Like he's a powered dude that's fucking punching this chick. Like
I don't have an encyclopedic knowledge of
I mean, just
comics,
based
but I'm
on
pretty
that,
sure
you
there's
could
a
as-
Batman comic where
But you-
a guy is punching.
What?
Just off of the book alone, you can assume he has some kind of enhanced strength and like flight, like that, or high
Flight?
agility.
Flight.
There's artwork of him out there like doing some flying.
I just know what I read in the book.
He does some agility stuff.
He doesn't fly.
Oh, he doesn't fly. Okay. See, all this stuff, Eric, is good to get out of the way in the introduction of
It
your
says
book.
in the book he doesn't
explicitly
fly.
says it in the book.
Yeah.
He explicitly says it.
Flash, did
He
you
goes
read
through
it?
the internal.
Flash, did you read it? Uh-oh. Here's some clarity problems, right? More clarity problems. He says it in the book. Flash missed that.
dialogue.
He literally says
And they're mad. They're mad at Dick.
About with you not being in good faith because you can't get fundamental things correct. because you're so mad at, for whatever reason, angry at myself and the success it is that we saw, and you're just shitting on people's friends and customers and all, and going on about this other stuff. And you can't even get fundamental thing wrong. He specifically goes.
Dick talks about this specifically on the latest Dick show as well. The giving the notes, it's Hollywood. He has tried to sell to Hollywood a lot of times and has gotten those notes from Hollywood execs who don't give a fuck about your product, especially if they don't like it. They'll just say critique the whole time. That's it. And that's exactly what he was doing for ISOM. And Eric can't see that.
Through internal dialogue about him not being able to fly.
Regardless, Dick knows that he can't fly. Dick knows that. It was Flash who messed up.
You claim to have read the book and you couldn't even.
I didn't think he could fly until Flash said he could fly.
Well, you just tried to lecture me. Hold on.
When there was the material to promote the book, there was something out there that looked like he was doing like a.
Hold on.
Flash. So you thought he could fly, right?
Okay. So you said you read the book.
No answer. You thought he could fly, right, Flash?
Answer. No fucking answer. Every time I ask anything about ISOM, no fucking answer because none of you guys read this piece
you said you read the book, right, homie? You said you read the book, right, homie? So why would you try to lecture me on some things that we should go through when he specifically goes through that internal dialogue?
I didn't say he could fly, you jackass. Flash.
No, that's not what I see. All right.
Yeah, to be fair, I read the book.
You just said no. What you just said, what you just went. Now you're very angry, and that's cool. But you just calm the fuck down. You ain't gonna do shit.
When this is Dick doubling down on the angry part. The angry part. He's not angry at all. He's
as angry as I was.
He knows he's getting under their skin by raising his voice.
You're not gonna do shit. You're not gonna do shit to anybody.
Smile.
Like I was saying.
See this?
You tried to lecture me.
He's joking.
Lecture me about going through like why I should have went through something, and then what you
The mad one is Eric. Obviously, Dick is not mad. He's joking around.
Specifically, are referring to. I actually went through it in the book. You get this critical error wrong.
What are you
multiple times? Multiple times.
About?
He goes through the internal dialogue of him not being able to fly. You just tried to we need to rewind that.
Fly, you stupid fuck. Flash.
You just went through. No, you just.
Flash is the one who said he could fly.
You just said.
This is a hilarious point.
I should have went through. I'm trying to explain. I don't know if we need to rewind it. I don't know if the acoustics is bad.
Well, Flash
where you're sitting. What I'm saying is. You just tried to lecture me about it.
I read it when it came out, so it's been a long time since
you tried to this fucking monologue is aimed at you, Flash. I don't know. I knew he couldn't fly.
No,
you said he could.
You just said that this was something that you tried to lecture me of. This is something that I should have gone through. Did you not just say that?
Yeah, because Flash didn't get it.
Okay, so if he didn't get it, you can't lecture me about something that I actually went through. If you want to say that that's a failure on Flash's comprehension or something, that's fine. Yeah, but I'm talking about what you just said.
Yeah, it was kind of a joke at Flash's expense. Like the overall point is that your story sucks. There's
all right, that's cool. That's cool. All right, I understand.
You don't explain why.
I understand that you don't like the story.
Exactly. This is Dick not actually mad. Clearly, he's not actually mad.
These emotional moments in the book that you need to have a good story. They're totally absent.
I thought they had an emotional moment in the book when he was talking to his.
No one asked Nita.
But otherwise, Dick, your criticisms have been very hollow. Like you're nitpicking.
Nitpicking is not criticism, except it literally is.
It is.
You guys are focused on these little details and observations I made at the top.
The big part of Dick's notes is that they were individual parts as he wrote down his thoughts as he was reading, connected it all at the end with a summary at the end. I feel like no one read the summary at the end.
You're specifically hung up on little details. You're saying you need to tell me every single detail of every single power that he has. Why isn't he flying?
No, I would like any indication of the powers.
Saying just
it doesn't need to be everything. Just a little inkling. Just a little something. Just a little something in there.
A lot of people enjoyed the story like I did.
You don't have to explain the powers of Spider-Man when he first comes out, because you can kind of imply he's got the powers of a spider. Right? Superman, you can tell that he's super. Iron Man, you could tell something to do with iron. Turns out he's covered in a suit, right? I saw him. What is that? That's his name? Very strange.
I enjoyed the story. I read it. It was good.
That's
It was a
good.
good start.
That's good. I'm glad you enjoyed it. My point was, this is why the story is not good.
Dick, the problem is
now,
that you.
This is Ethan. Very smart right here. This is Ethan coming in. He hasn't said much during this whole debate.
Attacked his business first.
Yeah.
And that's why he's not listening to you. The reason why he's not receptive to what you have to say.
This is very true.
Is because you attacked
This is
his
very
business
true.
first and foremost. And then you went ahead and gave your notes about the book. And so he's mad because you called him a scammer and you attacked the woke thing. And you do that and you're going to shut somebody down. And
that's exactly a great point. Great point by Ethan. That's why I love him in this stream.
Not receptive to your notes at all and doesn't give a shit what you have to say. And that's the situation that we find ourselves in right now. So he doesn't want to hear you. And that's
I understand, and I thank you for letting me on. I defended Eric's marketing for a year leading up to this.
He really did too, because it was Dick versus Vito on Biggest Problem. Dick always was defending the marketing. I mean, he loved it. He especially with Vito kind of sparking out about it a year ago or whatever.
Final note taking leading up to actually reading it. And
welcome,
I'm pro. Thank you. I'm pro marketing. I think the marketing is great. I think the marketing you did, Eric, was a huge success. And I thought it was great that you could, as I explained to Vito, I thought it was great that you told a story where people could spend money and feel good about what they were spending the money on. And that was what I thought the book was. That's what it represented to people who bought it. I think they bought it as a trophy.
That's why it was $3.7 million. That's exactly what Dick is saying. They thought it was good. It was good marketing. It was a trophy.
To have, and that was a good thing to me. But as soon as it turned into
against the woke,
the book is a financial marketing success to equal.
Not specifically anti-woke, but against the push for adding woke things into stories. That's what Dick is saying.
It's a creative success. I said, well, that's not true. The creative part is not there, and this is what could be changed. And I believe strongly that those two are separate things. And after that, it turned into a very petty and very childish flame war between us. And that's where it is.
No, that's not what happened. There's no flame war between you.
There's definitely a flame war because every single day since this has happened for 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever it is now, every single day Eric is saying something, not mentioning Dick by name, but when people bring up any criticism, it's always targeted against Dick in a way. 4 days, multiple days.
Like you came in with the energy that you.
This is not including Rippaverse goalposts. I enjoy them bringing up idiots like me, but
came in with. This is something that you take issue with what it is that I do. This is not the other way around. I'm gonna be completely honest. I don't know, other than the fact that you haven't accomplished anything in the space it is that I'm actually in. I don't know anything about you like that. And quite frankly, I don't.
Dick has never made a comic, as far as I know. He's made a book. He's made a really successful podcast. He's doing similar stuff, dude.
Care. It's not in.
And he's sold stuff to Hollywood.
Important by any means. Like I said, it's not like you have some sort of sense of accomplishment that would make your opinion of me or even my product that valuable like that. You've already, like to Ethan's point, you went off the rip calling me a scammer, right? You basically advocated piracy of my own product. So you essentially are knocking me, and that's cool. Like I said, that's cool with me that you're knocking me. However, I'm just not going to be listening to you of all people, and that's it. This isn't a feud. This isn't a me against you. I don't know. It's just you went after me. I don't know you like that. I'm not reviewing your stuff. I don't care to review your stuff. I don't know you like that. So it's not a feud by any means. You just took issue with it, and I'm cool with that. You don't like the story. You think the book sucks. Fine with me. We went through your criticism. Consider it a criticism of your criticism. I felt it largely lousy, pathetic. It didn't make a whole lot of sense in the context of actually reading the book, and it certainly didn't read like someone.
He's the creator of the story. He knows more context than anyone else.
As far as the actual write-up, like someone that even bothered to actually read it. But you claim you did. Cool. Either way, you are free to dislike it, and I'm free to reject your position on this. What I'm saying is your position ain't gospel, right? So if you don't think it's a creative success, fine. If you don't think it had a good enough story, you thought it sucked, you thought it was trash, we all good over here, homie. Other people don't feel that way. There are other people that like the book.
And that's fine. Other people can like the book, right? We're not trashing people who enjoy the things that they're watching. Correct? Correct. That's what all these people, G&G, Nerdrotic, Az, whole F&T crew, TNME, all these people, Flashcast, they all say, oh yeah, you're free to watch whatever the hell you want to watch.
We talk about it all the time on my stream. They have no issues with the motivation. They're excited about some of these characters it is that I've created. Your position or your opinion of me is not gospel. You are not the beacon of truth. You are not the person that is all ever knowing. You possess the knowledge to understand, because you, again, being the beacon of truth, you understand that this sucks or it doesn't. That's not how it works. You're just a dude with an opinion, and that's cool with me.
I look forward to.
Where the hell was that going?
Sweet. Sounds good.
Hopefully you buy it this time, you cheapskate.
No, I don't buy media. Didn't I miss it? I only wanted a PDF because I thought I couldn't
terrible.
buy it.
Get on Rippaverse.com, Dick. Get out of here with
You owe him a
superkiller.org to buy Vito's comic and compare the two. That's where, right, Nina? I know. I'm going to send you a copy of Superkiller.
Good Lord, please don't.
You can keep it in the wrapper just like you keep Eric's.
Is it going to be like the the anti-hero, which is so funny that it's like what his comic book guy is like the anti-hero is going around killing. That's so funny that he chose that.
Sure, it is funny, except he had the idea before Rippaverse ever came out. Vito said that already.
As his main character, it's so like
it's amazing all of these projections that these people do when you don't even know the guy. All you see is, oh, he's a pedophile on Twitter. That's all you see.
Vito to be like,
and you guys are the ones spouting it. Well, we'll get to that.
I'm the anti whatever the fuck everyone's talking about. I'm pro pedos. Like that's what he's all about. Right?
I love it. Yeah. I love the we're pedophiles and racist because we don't like the comic.
Who is
pedophiles racist because they don't like the comic.
No, never said you.
Is he killing like pedophile?
Vito's a pedophile and a racist because he doesn't like Isom.
Superheroes.
Actually, he only goes after Vito himself. Actually, that's another thing. Why are you guys so into this pedo shit? With
Why
Vito?
are you so into
all you gotta do is watch that stream that he did with
maybe
Nina.
Some of us are parents. No way.
All you gotta do is watch the stream with Nina. Okay.
Yeah, maybe some of us are parents.
And look at this. None of them are giving Vito a chance. They've never even tried to give him a chance. It's been years, like 2 years since that stream.
We don't like pedophiles. Wait. None of us like pedophiles, right? Can we all admit?
We brought up Vito, and now we got to talk about pedophiles. Okay,
none of us
we're
like
off the rails.
Vito sets out.
Vito does
Here every day, and he's like, pedos, I'm a pedo, dude.
Tug thinks it. Flash thinks it. Nina thinks it. Raging Rhino. All of these people. I think except for Ethan.
If a guy stood outside my house yelling pedo, I'd take their word on it.
Let's pull up the stream that he did with Nina and watch it right now. Let's watch that comedy.
Can we not say yes or no? We're all anti-pedophile?
Yo, I'm anti-pedophile.
Of course. I'm anti-pedophile.
Everybody in the world is
Everyone in the world is
anti-pedophile.
Even most of the pedophiles.
All right?
Not Vito.
Doesn't seem like Vito does, because every time someone talks bad about a pedophile, he runs out there with a shield.
Yeah, every fucking time Vito's like, oh, the pedos. We got to have sympathy for them.
Well, you don't feel bad for pedophiles?
No.
Well, listen. The pedophile thing. Dick is going into non-offending pedophiles. And that's obvious. That is obvious. None of these people think that.
I'd say Canada has the solution for people with mental illness.
Canada has a solution for people with mental illness. That's in the dickhead community. In the dickhead community, it's called going to Greenland because that was one of the first countries who did it. Greenland was the first country who did medical assisted suicide.
You do feel bad for pedophiles?
No.
Are you kidding me? You have a compulsion to fuck kids and you can't get rid of it? That's horrible.
And you feel sorry?
That's horrible. Of course that's horrible.
Sorry for that? That's sick, man.
Why would you?
Sick.
It's a mental
Why
illness.
would you want
It's a mental illness. Yes.
anyone to have? You don't feel sorry for people with mental illnesses? What the fuck's wrong with you?
Go and get fucking help.
Look,
Don't
it's
fuck
beyond
kids.
A lot of these, this is fucking, I never thought I'd be on this side. I never thought I'd be on this side, but a lot of these pedos can't get help because they'll get immediately sent to fucking jail. The psychiatrists, who they would probably get help from, are required to report it.
The same level as somebody who's depressed and somebody who has mental illness is not the same.
That's y'all partner, not mine. I don't know this nigga like that. I'll be right back.
It's not the same as somebody who
has a new
autism.
medical
That is
treatment
not
for
the
people
same
with
thing.
mental illness.
Yeah, killing themselves, right?
Canada has a new treatment for people with mental illness.
Hey,
Finish the joke.
Look.
Okay, can we all agree that everybody's
He's
just
your
buying
bro.
Eric's book to have it and they're not actually reading it while he's gone? We all...
Hey, I read
Trying to twist the knife a little bit.
twice.
That's
I
obviously a joke
I read
again.
the comics I buy.
Patrick, what'd you think of it since you read it and you bought it?
Patrick, that's his name.
There it is.
No. Like I enjoyed it, but I will
Look at
say
Ethan.
this. It was.
Do you not know what's going on in Canada, Dick?
Yeah, people are killing themselves.
Yeah, if you're
That's what I
mental
said.
illness, homeless, they
He knows.
medical assisted suicide.
Yes, he
I
gets,
mean, I would think pedophiles would want to do that.
Good.
I hope Vito moves there.
That's the solution.
well, oh god, man, don't we all have a little bit of mental illness, to an extent? And Canada's just like, yeah, go ahead. We recommend it. Off yourself.
Look,
Ridiculous.
Patrick, now that Eric's back, please
Go to
tell us
Canada.
what you thought of Eric July's book.
Which, again, now that he's back, why don't you say it when he's off stream?
Dude, like I
Why don't
I
you
thought
go
it-
move next to one, Dick?
A pedophile?
Yeah.
I'm sure that I.
Patrick gets cut off again. He's been sitting in the middle, like, "What's up, guys? Can I speak?"
live next to at
He
least
does
one.
a show with
He used to live in Hollywood for one. He still lives in LA. There's 1,000 billion friggin' pedos here. That's why I'm leaving. That's big reason why I mean, not specifically the pedophiles, but LA in general. I have a family now. I don't want my son to grow up here. It's that simple.
with one every week.
Yeah, they're
that's
very
true,
hard
yeah.
to
Literally talks
identify.
to
They're
one.
all over the place.
They're hard to identify. They're all over the place.
I've been on Megan's Law. I know they're fucking. I used to live in Hollywood, bro. You load up Megan's Law and it looks like a fucking Pac-Man game in Hollywood.
Yeah.
What am I supposed to say to that? Oh wow.
Do you feel sorry for him? Wow.
Yeah.
Feel sorry for the
That would
illness,
be horrible.
not for the action.
I mean, if
Well,
we had
we
a cure
differ
for
in that.
pedophilia, we would cure them, right?
I have a cure. You just
There is
don't
a
like
cure.
It.
It's in Canada.
Yeah, you don't
They
like
should
the
move
cure.
there.
I feel like I'm talking to like a bunch of retarded jocks. Like we would cure them of the desire to
Cure them of the desire to fuck kids. Yes.
fuck kids, right?
If there was a drug that did that, please take the fucking drug. There's a vaccine for everyone. Never be pedophilia again. Never have those anything. There's a vaccine everyone can take. Just to be safe. If we had that, right? Just to be safe, just take the fucking thing. Right?
Well, that's what that medical solution that Canada offers will,
We should
will
just
help solve.
Or we should just kill all of them instead. Unreal,
Hilarious.
man.
So we would like cure
It's
them of
unreal.
It's not meant
desire,
to be
right?
a joke, Dick.
It's not a joke. That's literally
Holy
how I
shit.
feel.
That is fucking retarded. An opinion that he had.
Okay, so this is a little bit more of, they talk about Vito. They bring him up, call him a bitch a bunch. Yeah, he was there most of the time. They eventually bring up this video where Vito talks about the pedophilia thing.
Story. I think story is very important for independent comics. It's more important for independent.
They're trying to basically put
this
is putting a button on everything.
Eric, I
now.
apologize for calling you a scam artist. I don't think you are, but I
Look,
glibly
that's obviously, this is the real Dick now, the genuine.
refer to marketing and scams as the same thing because I think they kind of are. I'm in marketing, and I it's just like a kind of joke that I say. I don't think it's a scam.
This is Dick's business is marketing, 100%. Like he has his own business that's marketing.
I think you could work on your storytelling and get better. And I hope everybody in indie comics gets better with their stories. As long as, like, you understand that Vito's thinks he's saying a way that will limit harm to children, right? Like,
yes,
that's his idea of saying, like, maybe if we let him come out and get them help, he's a liberal.
He's obviously not a pedophile. Clearly in this clip. And everyone thinks this clip is the damning, like, oh, he's a pedophile.
I mean, he thinks he's limiting harm to kids. So, yeah, he's pretty fucking passionate about it, as are you.
Mean, yes,
like a lobotomy would probably help.
Oh, well, I mean, that's, obviously that's your guys' position on it. I think people have been trying to kill pedophiles for like 100,000 years. So
why is he so passionate about it, Dick?
Why is he so passionate about limiting harm to kids? I think
why is he so passionate about defending pedophiles?
No, he's passionate about limiting harm to children. And he thinks that by tricking them into coming out and getting therapy, that would limit harm to children. They go to homeless people. They send social workers after them. That's what liberals think. They think if you just say, well, let's just be really nice to these people and we can get them some treatment, maybe they'll stop stealing. Like, I don't think it's a great idea, but that's what they all think.
He is a pretty typical liberal. He likes to flag people's channels down, and
I agree. I fucking agree with you.
Right.
It doesn't make him a pedophile.
It doesn't make him a pedophile.
It's the dumb liberal way of thinking.
Yes. Look,
I want you to hear it from somebody else about story.
This is obviously genuine.
I think writing stories is fun. I've done it for a long time, and I think you'd have fun doing it too. That's it. I'm sorry I said a bunch of mean shit. You said a bunch of mean shit too, but I don't. That's just my piece. All right.
All right. All right.
Goodbye, everybody. Everybody.
Like, is he gonna say anything else?
That show. See you later.
Hey, listen. Hey,
What?
thanks for coming on.
Thank you, Flash. I'm sorry for what I said about you too. Goodbye.
It's fine. I'm not.
Apologize to me too.
We all get passionate about children, right? We all get very passionate about saving children.
To be fair, I don't know Vito or you, but I just don't like Vito and his opinions, and I think he's a fucked up person. I don't know you, so
he would agree. I am very.
Again, biggest problem. He would agree, 100%.
Believe me, the fact that I'm not drunk on a Saturday right now is a fucking miracle. So, but I want to protect kids just as much as everybody else. We all want to protect kids. Please, let's figure out how to do it. Goodbye.
Okay. Bye.
Okay. That's essentially the Dick portion. We got one other portion here. Yeah, here we go. We're going to move on to the Vito section right now. Now, they bring up some of these screenshots. This is a Vito 2. I don't know who this was on. I can't read that whole thing, but this you? Nah, my 12-year-old girlfriend hacked my account and posted that. That's obviously a joke. Obviously a joke. He's leaning into the pedo thing. This was from January last year. January 2nd, 2022. More than a year ago. Year and a half ago. And people are still... He was not smart in leaning into this shit. And look... I used to be one of these guys as well who was like, man, Vito's fucking weird, fucking pedophile. I used to think that too, kind of. I used to think that because like the whole cuties thing was ridiculous. Cuties, the whole thing about cuties was ridiculous, right? And Vito was out there defending his friend for watching the movie and liking it or enjoying it, whatever. Mr. Girl. I forget exactly the context of all of that, but the more and more I see of him, the more I realize that Vito's actually not that bad of a guy. I've seen him in person. I've seen him on the show as well. Dude's a nice guy, especially in real life.
Oh, here he is. Okay.
And I don't want to talk about this either. Again, this Nina,
you talk about it a lot, Vito. A lot.
When?
And don't deny that you do.
A year and a half ago.
All the time with your cuties jokes.
You're like,
and you're fucking defending pedophiles.
Like,
it's a whole
look at this. Look at this.
You and Nina,
look at this.
Where you defend pedophiles tooth and nail. Like
Nina,
you're in
that stream was about
hold
on. That stream was what, like a year and a half ago?
Yeah, like a year ago, I think.
Okay. But you say that this isn't behavior that you normally do, but there's a lot of evidence out. I could pull out. I don't have this on me, but I'm sure I could go to archive.
He's obviously
find
changed
a lot of tweets that have been archived. I'm sure that you've said.
I can say this: there was a period of time where obviously my friend reviewed that movie Cuties. I defended him because he's a friend of mine, and I really do like his content. And he was a very small creator at the time. He had like
you're talking about Mr. Girl.
Yeah. At the time, a lot of people then said the same thing to me that they were saying to him. They would say, "You're a child abuser, you're a pedophile, whatever else." My defensive way of reacting to that, because I'm an idiot.
As an idiot and a comedian.
And I'll say that right now. I handled it badly. I said, "Yeah, you know what? I am. Yeah, you better hide your kids. You know, you better watch out for Vito."
How many people lean into a joke like that? That's like the classic way of if you get bullied. It's like, yeah, that's me. That's totally me. That's the like classic way of diffusing a bully, right? It's the classic example. Oh, you're just a little F slur. Yep, that's me. Oh, you're gay. Yep. Totally, dude. Whatever, I don't care. Like, that's how you would diffuse a lot of this. And everyone's taking this obvious joke of the pedophile thing and treating it as gospel.
He's gonna whatever.
Especially on that joke, like the tweet that I just showed.
That was my defensive way of. I also had never dealt. You know, I've dealt with heat before, but I've never had hundreds, thousands of people calling me a pedophile.
Vito, that's because people don't like that. Why do you think? Why do you think Bud Light and Target and these companies are losing all of this money? Because they're fucking with kids.
Flash, I made a huge mistake. I reacted badly to a lot of negative criticism coming
a year and a half ago too.
Coming my way. I thought I could.
Let me reiterate.
Making a bunch of jokes and going, yeah, that is me. That is, and then you know what? I realized that isn't working. Clearly, people are actually just believing these things about me. So if you actually pay attention to my
he's just a friggin' nerd. Look at all this shit in his background. If you went to Flash, talks about all of his arcade machines, all of this movies, all the Blu-rays that he gets. I'm sure his room looks just like that. He's the same guy. He just leaned into the joke of being a pedophile. The joke.
I don't say these things. I don't make these jokes that you accuse me of making all the time. Now, occasionally, like Ethan will come on the show and he'll go, oh, you know, keep girls away from Vito, whatever. And I'll laugh and I'll go, yeah, I know what you know, because I go along with the joke.
Because EVS was on Biggest Problem one day as well. So that's
my reputation.
The example there.
And at this point, what am I going to do? Ethan, how could you make that joke at my expense? I go, yeah, I got to own it. I made some stupid pedophile jokes. Everybody really hated it. And I'm really not out there trying to do it anymore. I get it. Everybody was really offended by it. I reacted badly. And that was my, trying to put a shell around myself. Oh, you can't touch me. I can say whatever I want, whatever. I'm an idiot. I fucked up.
I take people at their word. You want to continue talking about being a fucking pedophile and stuff? I take you at your word. Now you don't like that label. Fair enough, man. But again, that's fucked up, dude. Like there is.
Tug, can I intervene for 1 minute here? Vito, are you a pedophile?
No.
But you like kids? You attracted to kids? No. Shush. Just answer the question, yes or no.
No,
don't be
I'm
funny.
not.
Okay. Let me explain something. See, this is why I'm having trouble here. 2007.
Look, this is EDS obviously throwing it all this branch, and it's great. It's great.
Because a lot
talked about this earlier.
A lot of people were calling me a Nazi. I started putting out material that suggested that I thought that was funny. I put out a sketchbook called My Struggle. I got my name tattooed,
which is hilarious
here because they were calling it a swastika. They were saying my signature looked like a swastika, and I leaned into the joke because I didn't know what else to do with it. You know what I mean? Like, nobody wants to be called a Nazi. I'm not a Nazi, but it's like, if that's funny, I guess. And it was kind of like
he was trying to lean into the joke when at the time, like 2007, as Ethan was saying, that was one of the most heinous things to call people. Now, no one cares about that label, right? Like, one of the worst labels now is pedo. That's it. That's like the top right now. People try to make, oh, you're a racist, you're a sexist, you're a Nazi, you're a homophobe. All of these, they have no value anymore because everyone tried to use these terms. Everyone did. And they don't, like, it doesn't have any impact anymore on people. The pedo one still's up there.
Self-effacing. What I didn't realize was that my peers, who were, I thought, joking with me, who were my friends, would all turn on me and actually call me a Nazi, and then sit there with struggle sessions with me and say, do you understand that the Jews were persecuted by blah, 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 blah. You guys started this. You guys started calling me a Nazi because I voted for George Bush. And so, I thought we were friends, and I thought we could have this sort of, little joke between us, and then suddenly it became not a joke. And I have had to live with the results of the fact that half of the comic book community thinks I'm a literal Nazi now. So the reason why
Ethan's seeing a lot of what Vito's gone through, especially since he's been on the show now, and seeing that he's going through the same thing.
I just asked Vito if he was a pedophile, is because he should just say no. I'm not a Nazi. You know what I mean? But see, that's the situation. I don't respect people who go around and just make up convenient lies to apply hatred for people. They say the worst possible thing about people. Vito, if I were you, I would never, ever, ever in any way talk about this ever, ever again. Never, think, well, how can we help? Who cares? It's not your place. You don't need to worry about it. The question is, do you sympathize with them? Are you one? And the answer is no. And that's it. And just move on with it.
But
because
honestly,
I hate
well, hold on a second. I have another.
I hate
based
this
on
bullshit.
that, I have another question that I've been very curious about. So your criticism of people that go hard against cuties is that you're a free speech advocate.
Okay, they're moving on to the free speech part.
I don't believe that you are, because you've tried to cancel people multiple times. You especially tried to do it to Neurotic when he had Alex Jones on his channel.
And that one bugged me too. That's around the same time I was pretty upset with Vito, for sure.
And then, which makes it even more hilarious, is you went on fucking InfoWars like a week later. Investigation that I just found out about today is that you were sending clips of Andy Worski saying the N-word and
Andy Worski one
news outlets
this is gonna
to try to
be
get
good
his boxing match that he got knocked out on.
Look, a lot of these creators, I'm going to preface this now. I love a lot of these creators, Andy Worski and PPP. Don't really like PPP that much. He's a fat fucking slob to me. But Worski, dude, he's been one of the like classic. He was one of Ethan Ralph's guys. Like he's been around a long time, and he has seemingly turned his life around in a great way. I love the guy. Always thought he was great, and they attack Vito all the time. I love Flash. I love most of this panel. Nina's meh in my book, but love a lot of Flashcast. Love a lot of these are people that I've learned about over the last year and a half, 2 years. Whenever I started to watch YouTube a little bit more often. And I'm enjoying their content, loving them. Nerdrotic, love his stuff. Me and my brother talk about him all the time. It's a lot of these people are on the same side. There's these minor differences of opinion. And Vito making this joke, a lot of these people have made these jokes before. It's too bad. The flagging, this Vito will go into the flagging of Worski in particular. And the Nerdrotic one, where the Nerdrotic one still kind of pisses me off. But
in like 3 seconds anyway. But props to him for getting in the fucking ring. That's balls there alone. But you apparently tried to.
If only Worski did a little bit better. Boogie did better than Worski.
Now, if you're a bleeding heart liberal, why can't he?
That's still a joke.
He doesn't
Don't worry about it
anymore. But
still
yet you apparently still tried to do that. How can I take that is the reason you defend this movie as a free speech advocate when you are actively trying to get people canceled for just doing free speech? Alex Jones, you may not like him, but he has the right to say the things that he does. That's what a free speech absolutist or even a free speech defender would say. no matter how they feel about his content. Why did you do that? And how can you say you're a free speech person if that's things you do?
First of all, I had tagged YouTube on a tweet. And
you made multiple tweets, actually.
Hold on.
Multiple tweets.
I'm talking about the Nerderotic situation. I made one tweet where I said, hey, look at what these guys are doing, spreading COVID and misinformation. Isn't that against the terms of service?
That's not true information. Anyway,
right. That's a good point, Raging.
At the time,
right now,
I considered it a joke. I knew that YouTube does not take down channels based on tweets, or at least I did not believe they would. And YouTube actually, responded with what I knew they would say,
That's
which
bullshit,
is
Vito.
Why even do that, Vito? You know what you're doing there.
That's
when
why
you
you did it.
He did only tag them on Twitter. That's true.
You know exactly what
YouTube.
I didn't file a report because I knew that that's how you actually get channels.
You don't need to. You tagged and brought it to Team YouTube's attention, which, by the way, has how many followers do they have? I'm going to guess hundreds.
There's almost zero doubt in my mind that YouTube knew about or didn't know about Alex Jones showing up. I feel like they always know when Alex is going to show up to anything. Almost think like Gary needed permission to do it. That's
hundreds of thousands as a low estimate. And a lot of people probably have notification on for that. So just them responded. And you know that I'm right because you're on Twitter.
And
on that alone, how dare you?
You know what? I've already said it's not defensible. I wasn't thinking. Okay, I'd had a little bit much to drink, and I saw my haters were all.
It's not an excuse.
It's not an excuse.
Like a drunk driver saying I had too much to drink.
That's very different too. We've all had too much to drink. The Flashcast has had too much to drink. The entirety of Flashcast. We've seen that. I've drank with Flashcast before and had a rough time. It's a little disingenuous. He's not a drunk driver, obviously.
And I killed that woman or child or family.
I was fucking around on Twitter late at night, and you're on Twitter.
As a lot of people do.
You're right. I shouldn't even try to excuse it. I apologized to those guys as much as I could on multiple occasions. I had a deep-seated apology. I tried my best. Again, I fuck up. I make mistakes. I 100% own that. It wasn't funny. It was fucked. It could have got their channels banned. I'm an imperfect.
If you've seen, I've seen, I think one of his Star Wars videos, and because it made the rounds, I think on TikTok and that sort of thing, the top 10 worst things of Star Wars or whatever. He would be a pretty good guest on something like Friday Night Tights. He will never be on because of his mistakes, and it's too bad. It really is too bad.
I'm learning this YouTube thing as I go along. I'm learning how far you can take the fight. I'm learning that, sometimes something you do isn't funny. It's actually over the line and you're going to hurt people. That was very early on in my YouTube career. And I made a choice that could have hurt people because I wasn't thinking.
But just going back to what Ethan was saying with regards to the pedophilia stuff.
Hold on a second. What about Andy Worski?
Andy Worski has a channel where he calls me a pedophile every day with his fat co-host. So I saw him hanging out with a bunch of black boxers, and I thought it would be funny to go, hey, have you seen this video where he sees a 6-year-old black kid and calls him the N-word?
And Worski does say shit about Vito all the time, and Dick, for that matter. Worski and PPP. They all the time on Kino Casino. All the time. And so this was Vito's one attempt to clap back.
For 2 straight minutes.
That's what happened.
I wanted to harm his reputation with these black people.
Yes, I wanted to harm his reputation. He said it.
I wanted them to know, hey, Andy Worski's kind of a fucked up racist guy. And I do believe Andy Worski is a fucked up racist
guy. And that's what I'm not sure he's a fucked up racist guy. But it's like, because he's labeled a pedophile, he gets to be shit on all the time and no one else can be shit on.
This wasn't
kind of weird.
Me trying to get the fight canceled. It was, again, a guy who every day is on Twitter going, hey, did you know Vito's a pedophile? Why do you file Vito? He does the exact same shit to me, trying to ruin my reputation. So
totally.
For once in my life, I went, okay, tit for tat. You got a big thing coming up? Well, here's you being a big racist. So I can't feel nearly as bad about that because that's really just me doing what Andy Worski has been doing to me for 2 years. If anything, the fact that I responded one time after the 2 years of him piling onto me with his podcast and whatever else.
Okay, Vito. I'm gonna comment on this because this is why I had EVS brought up a really good point. Said if you really do believe that that was a line that you took that you shouldn't have taken or whatever, and it's gone way out of hand, and just say you are not and move on. I would accept something like that. But Vito,
he wants to end it all.
Literally, like I never watched your streams except for a couple with this Eric July thing, or the time that you had Nick Ricada on. I watched that one. But I see that you guys you either have you even have your channel member names as Vito files.
Yep. People are dickheads and Vitos are Vito files. That's the joke.
And you lean into the idea of this thing.
I don't think you should change the name.
You are.
Because it's funny.
That's what I have an issue with.
Because it's funny.
I want to say one more thing. Okay. Just one more thing. Me on Twitter, you have a very imperfect idea of who I am as a man, as a creator.
That's very true.
I think when we actually get together, and I think even when we had our discussion on that topic, I think we came to some agreements. And honestly, I don't talk about the topic anymore because Ethan's right. It's not my place to talk about it. I'm not a scientist. I'm not a social engineer. It was a topic that came up in that moment because I was talking about my friend and I went down the wrong rabbit hole.
Sure.
Okay. I don't want to be fighting with everyone.
I want to ask one quick question.
I come off that way, and it's go ahead, Ryan.
I want to ask one quick question. It sort of deviates a little bit, but it's still based on the entire reason why you came on. Do you support something like drag story time?
It really depends on the specifics.
Okay.
I think I'm with him on this too. It does depend on specifics. Again, I would never take my kid to a drag story time. I would never do that. Drag in general, I'm not comfortable with it personally. That's my opinion. All right? I would never bring my kid to it, but free speech absolutism designates that should exist because someone wants it. That's their free speech. That's free speech absolutism. And it's the free speech of the parents bringing their kids to one of these. I would never bring my kid. Ever. Sorry, it's not going to happen. And it's uncomfortable. It's ridiculous. I would never do that. But that's their right to do it. Right? And if the people who are letting them in are supporting it, then sure. Again, that's fine. That's their right to do it. I know we can be uncomfortable with it. Rhino definitely is uncomfortable with it. Pretty much everyone on here is pretty much uncomfortable with it.
If there's any amount of nudity or anything like that, no.
Obviously not.
If it's just a transgender person,
yeah, if it's a kid being exposed to a somewhat nude, any of that, the stripping part of drag, which is a lot of drag, absolutely not. But the story time aspect, I don't know. That's the parent's choice to bring the kid. It's stupid. I'll shame that parent. But that being there, that existing, that's their free speech. Right? It's kind of the simple thing about free speech absolutism.
And reading a story in a dress, then I don't know. I'd really have to know the specifics. And I'm sure, you know what? And again, we disagree. I'm sure your audience right now in the chat is saying, well, there you go. He's a pedophile because he can't make his mind about drag queen story time. I just think these topics are a lot more complicated.
I think drag belongs at night in for adults. It's
I agree too.
I think that's fair. You know what?
I agree with that.
I don't think kids should be involved in anything to do with drag. But that's me. Hey, and you know what?
I wouldn't involve my kids in it.
I respect the fact that you came on.
I agree with that.
To talk things out.
You don't have to reprogram him. The question,
essentially, so yeah, we don't have to change Vito. That's where Ethan goes. But this is essentially the end of this. I'm not going to go any further. Eric comes back in what seems like a way to possibly talk. It's kind of weird. Vito leaves right then. He's like,
I won't. I'll stop talking about it. But I mean,
yeah. So it's pretty cordial at the end because Vito, I think he obviously appears genuine. Yeah, I think he's over it.
But for real though, stop talking about it as well. Like
I honestly,
it's not something to joke about. I'd rather be called a Nazi than a pedo.
Man, and I don't like that. I don't like that shit.
I want to be.
And I think anybody with kids has the same position as me. I'm pretty sure.
I want to be real with you. I've honestly stopped talking about it. A lot of people will take old screenshots and say that, you know, whatever. But here's the other thing. I'm not a dishonest guy. So if somebody comes to me and they say, did you say this? I will say yes. I'll say, yes, that's something I said. And then people go, oh, look, he's talking about it. And maybe that's my fault. Maybe I should maybe I should just ignore people who confront me about it and stop trying to be honest. But I'm not bringing it up. It's not a topic I'm interested in.
This seems genuine.
I'm over that debate.
If you don't see that, like I don't know.
And I accept that I have this
is.
bad reputation. I have to work to earn people's trust back by proving that I genuinely care about people and I don't want harm to come to children. Fine, I have to earn that, and you guys don't owe that to me. And I'm gonna do it on my own. And none of you guys have to like me. That's the end story. I just really hope that you understand that what you've seen of me is an incomplete picture. There is more of a man here than a couple bad.
Oh man, totally. What I was gonna.
So
that's all I can say. Eric, you can call me a crack smoker, and I'll leave you guys to it. Okay.
Oh man, what I was gonna. All right.
Well, you needed to jump in there.
I was gonna address some things.
I don't know. I don't know where Eric is going to go with that one, but that's essentially the whole of Flashcast. So let me hit. I guess I'll go full screen. That's essentially it, guys. Thanks for stopping by, and I've given my thoughts. There's a bit of an EFAP for you. This is gonna be a long video, but thanks for stopping by. Appreciate you. Have a good day, dear, and I don't know, man. Stop being mean. I guess that's the way to end this. I don't fucking know.